Hello beloved audience, it's me Muhammad Ilham Satia Utama with the student ID 2223250099. I'd like to deliver my own presentation with the title Improving EFL Students Speaking Skills through CCL, based on an article with the title Developing EFL Learning Speaking Skill of Community Language Learning, which was written by Afrianti Wulandasari and Salsabila from the Pamulang University 2026. Background. Number 1. Speaking skills is complicated yet to apply for EFL students, which is the English foreign language students, especially Indonesian students. So we often find out about the master student in Indonesia, especially, which is still hard and complicated to practice their own speaking skills because their abilities is so hard to make English to practice in daily life. So they are just using their native language in daily life, and they are not used to practice in English naturally as native speaker does. Number 2, most of students still concerned to speak English more often due feeling shy, afraid, and guilty to being judged. So the master students still being awkward for their own environment, especially in their own classroom. They are so afraid to be mistaken and will be made by their own teacher in the classroom, especially. So they are choosing better to be silent instead of practicing their own English in daily life in the classroom, especially. And to the number 3, the teaching method is lack of productive and not suitable for speaking practice in our classroom effectively. And the last, the wrong of teaching teacher, the teaching method of teacher is not suitable for the student. The student have not, the student don't have any proper teaching from their own teacher because the teaching and education is not proper for them. And then let's move on to the next slide, the research method. As I mentioned before, the article, the presentation source from the article which has the title Developing EFL Learning Speaking Skills through CCL, which was written by Afrianti Wulandasari and Salsabila, used qualitative approach. The data was collected from 10 students of Pamulang University students. So they were collected the data and put into the article, and the article was put by me for a presentation this way. On the article research, Afrianti Wulandasari and Salsabila used qualitative approach, as I said before. The data was collected from 10 students at Pamulang University to find if CCL or Community Language Learning affected significantly or not to be student for learning speaking English skills. And then next, move on the next slide. Again, definition of CCL. What is CCL? CCL or Community Language Learning is a language learning method developed by Kellis A. Curran in the 1970s and based on a psychological and humanistic approach. It helps students understand each other, reduce discomfort, and increases their interest in learning. So this method will will take a company for the student and make a student in the group and let them to discuss each other with their own friend, so they will not feel be awkward or afraid from that if the teacher is using this method to teach them. So this method positions the teacher as a counselor and students in groups. As I mentioned it previously, the students will be on group with their friends and discuss each other in English, of course, and the teacher will be a helper, will be a counselor to get strike everything mistakes from their own students. For example, if they're mistaken for the pronunciation of the vocabularies or the material, so the student will help them to get it right and fix them. Although it focuses heavily on communication practice, the approach in this method makes students comfortable and not threatened. So the student will not feel that's judging, so they will feel comfortable and enjoy at the classroom without being afraid to the teacher while they are facing on the teacher that time at the classroom, so they will enjoy it as well. And next, move on to the next slide. Result of research. Result of using CCL methods. Number 1. Increase student confidence significantly. So the confidence of student will develop. So the student will practice their own English easily without being awkward to anybody in the class, especially to the teacher, of course. And then will develop the confidence, will develop the ability, of course, the ability to speak English. And then the number 2, reduce the anxiety and the comfort feeling. So the anxiety of student will disappear and anxiety will disappear also. So the student will think easily in English without getting anxiety that time. So they will be enjoying the class as I mentioned previously, and now the class is a safe place to learn English. Next, and number 3, written speaking student skills. The abilities of students in speaking English will increase. So the student will be affected to increase in English. So the teacher will not be heavy to teach them, and the student will be confident in speaking English. And then the number 4, uplifting students curious and letting them to discuss each other. As I mentioned previously, the student will put in the group together and they will discuss each other. So the curiosity of student will appear. The curiosity of student will develop that time also, because they just sing in English with their own friend only, and with that the student will be confident to practice English, to learn another material that have not been taught by teacher yet before, so they will understand about many materials easily at the short time. So the last, number 5, students does not feel being judged. Teacher accompany them to be a counselor or helper. So the student will be feel comfort because they does not feel being judged. As I said before, the student will be enjoy to stay at the class because the teacher is just a helper for them. The teacher is not be authority to them and just focus on understand them and teach everything they need. And the last slide we have the conclusion. Community language learning, or we mentioned it before as CCL, is positive and effective method. The evidence is proven by increasing student confidence in speaking, discussing, and enjoying the class. Within the safe building up, teacher will not seem that judging. So this method is emphasizing the students to understand English, especially in ability to speak English easily without being afraid to the teacher or being afraid to the environment or being afraid to their own friends, and you just be a confident, just be their self and understand or practice English naturally. That's all about the CCL, Community Language Learning. That's all for me. If I have a mistaken, I apologize to that. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Thank you so much.